In the vast cold emptiness of space, a medical drone drifted silently through the asteroid field. Its sensors were programmed to detect life, but rarely did they find anything worth reporting. This sector was known for its harsh conditions and complete isolation. The drone's internal systems hummed softly as it scanned the rocky debris. Suddenly, a faint signal caught its attention. Most machines would have ignored such a weak transmission, but this particular drone was different. Its programming contained a unique algorithm that detected even the smallest hint of life. The signal came from a small, damaged section of an asteroid. Thermal readings suggested something was alive, but barely. The drone moved closer, its advanced sensors piercing through layers of rock and metallic fragments. A body lay trapped beneath a collapsed metal structure. It was an alien, clearly not from any known primary galactic species. Her body was badly wounded, with multiple fractures and deep lacerations. Blood had dried around her injuries, suggesting she had been trapped for days, perhaps weeks. Her breathing was shallow. Each breath seemed like a battle against the harsh environment that wanted to claim her life. Her skin, a pale bluish gray, was covered in complex biological markings that suggested she belonged to a rare species from the outer galactic regions. The drone's protocols were clear. In situations of minimal survival probability, it was instructed to log the information and continue its patrol. Intervention was not part of its programming. Life preservation was secondary to data collection, but something was different about this transmission. The drone hesitated. Its sensors detected not just physical life but a complex biological signature that suggested intelligence, potential, and a will to survive. The alien's eyes were closed, but her hand was positioned in a way that suggested she had been trying to signal for help. Her fingers were extended, almost reaching towards an impossible rescue. Her body told a story of abandonment, of being left behind by her own species, or perhaps by some unknown conflict. Temperature readings showed her body was losing heat rapidly. In a few more hours, she would succumb to the extreme cold of the asteroid field. The drone recorded every detail: her physical condition, her estimated species characteristics, and the precise location of her entrapment. Then, following its core programming, the drone prepared to continue its patrol. It would transmit the data to the nearest communication hub, where it might or might not be reviewed. Survival was never guaranteed in this part of the galaxy. As the drone began to move away, something unexpected happened. A small electrical surge in its system, perhaps a malfunction, perhaps something more, caused it to hesitate. For a brief moment, its sensors rescanned the alien's body. The transmission log would later show a curious notation. Life form detected. Survival probability, 0.03%. Location marked. No further action recommended. But the seed had been planted. The data would eventually reach human diplomatic channels, carried by countless relays and communication networks that spanned the galaxy. And somewhere, someone would make a decision that could change everything. The alien remained motionless, trapped in her metal prison, unaware that her silent cry for help had been heard. Her fate hung in the balance, suspended between certain death and a potential uncertain rescue. The asteroid field continued its endless drift through the darkness of space, holding its secret, a wounded life, waiting, hoping, barely existing. The medical drone moved on, its sensors cold and mechanical, its programming unfeeling. Another patrol, another routine scan in the infinite expanse of the universe. But something had changed. A tiny, almost imperceptible possibility had been introduced into the vast and different system of galactic exploration. In the bustling diplomatic headquarters of Earth's Interstellar Relations Division, Jae-Won Park studied the transmission with intense concentration. The data packet was unusual, fragmented, weak, but persistent. Most officials would have dismissed it as another random space signal, but Jae-Won saw something different. He zoomed in on the medical drone's logs. The survival probability was absurdly low, 0.03%. Most would consider it a waste of resources to investigate such a hopeless case. But Jae-Won had a reputation for unconventional decisions. The room around him was quiet. Holographic displays flickered with countless galactic communications, but his attention remained fixed on this single, almost meaningless transmission. Something about the data felt urgent, important. His assistant, Yun-Ah, approached cautiously. She knew her supervisor's reputation for making unexpected choices. "Sir," she said softly, "the committee will never approve a rescue mission for such a low-probability target." Jae-won's fingers moved across the holographic interface, pulling apart every piece of the transmission. The alien's biological markers were unlike anything in their current database. Her species was unknown, her origin a complete mystery. "Prepare the medical response team," he said quietly. Yun-Ah looked surprised. "But the approval process takes weeks. The bureaucratic channels—" "We're not going through channels," Jae-won interrupted. His voice was calm but firm. "Prepare the specialized medical containment unit. Contact Dr. Kim and have her ready the xenobiological support systems." The diplomatic headquarters was a place of careful calculations and measured responses. Risking. A specialized rescue mission for a single life with almost no chance of survival went against every standard protocol. It would require significant resources, multiple approvals, and carried enormous political risk. But Jae-won had seen something in the transmission that others missed. A hint of something extraordinary. A possibility that existed beyond standard, mathematical probability. He remembered his grandmother's stories about human potential. How sometimes the most important moments in history came from choosing to act when everyone else would choose to wait. How a single life could change everything. The computer systems around him began to activate. Specialized medical equipment was being prepared. Communication channels were being quietly opened. A rescue mission was taking shape, born from a single moment of human decision. Yuna watched her supervisor with a mix of respect and confusion. She had worked with Jae-won for years and knew he saw the world differently. Where others saw statistics and probabilities, he saw potential and hope. "Senti, political fallout could be significant," she mentioned. "More as an observation than a warning." Jae-won smiled slightly. "Sometimes doing the right thing isn't about political calculations. It's about recognizing the value of a single life." The rescue mission was unusual in every possible way. No formal approvals had been sought. No extensive committee meetings had been conducted. It was a purely human response, driven by compassion, intuition, and a belief that every life matters. Outside the headquarters, the galaxy continued its endless rotation. Millions of planets, billions of species, countless interactions happening simultaneously. And here, in this moment, a small team was preparing to risk everything for a single, unknown alien with almost no chance of survival. Dr. Kim arrived, her medical equipment already being loaded onto a specialized spacecraft. She understood Jae-won's approach. In xenobiological research, the most important discoveries often came from the most unexpected sources. "We're ready," she told Jae-won. He nodded, his eyes still fixed on the transmission data. The alien's location was marked, her condition documented. A complex mathematical equation of survival was about to be challenged by something more powerful: human determination. The spacecraft's engines began to warm up. A rescue mission was about to begin, born from a fraction of data, a moment of decision, and an unshakable belief in the potential of life. The specialized rescue spacecraft cut through the asteroid field like a knife, its advanced sensors probing the darkness. Dr. Hee-soo Kim watched the holographic displays, her fingers dancing across multiple scanning interfaces. The mission was delicate. Finding a single life form among millions of rocky fragments was like searching for a single grain of sand in an ocean. Jae-won stood behind her, his eyes never leaving the primary scan screen. The asteroid field was treacherous. Sharp rocky formations could slice through their hull in seconds. Navigation was a constant battle against unpredictable gravitational pulls and hidden debris. Detecting anomalous life signs, the ship's computer announced in a neutral tone. Its voice was calm, almost too calm considering the critical nature of their mission. Dr. Kim zoomed in on the location. The alien was embedded deep within a collapsed metal structure, trapped between two massive asteroid fragments. Her body was partially crushed, multiple biological systems showing critical failure. Estimated survival time: 37 minutes. The computer calculated. Jae-won's hand touched Dr. Kim's shoulder. No words were needed. They both understood the complexity of the rescue. This wasn't just about saving a life. It was about understanding a potentially unknown species. The ship's external robotic arms began carefully moving asteroid fragments. Each movement was calculated, precise. One wrong touch could crush the already wounded alien. Dr. Kim's specialized medical scanners continued mapping her biological structure. Her body was unlike anything they had seen before. Complex cellular structures suggested an advanced evolutionary process. Her DNA carried markers of extreme adaptation. She was a survivor, even in her current broken state. Suddenly, a massive gravitational shift threatened the ship. Asteroid fragments began to move, creating a dangerous cascade of rocky formations. Lesser crews would have retreated, but Jae-won's team was different. Stabilization protocols engaged, the computer announced. Dr. Kim worked quickly. Specialized medical containment fields began to form around the alien's body. Each movement was calculated, each system carefully monitored. They were performing surgery in the middle of a potentially deadly asteroid field. Her wounds told a story of extreme trauma. Multiple organ systems were failing. Cellular regeneration was minimal. Any other species would have died long ago. But something in her biological makeup suggested an extraordinary resilience. The robotic arms moved with surgical precision. Piece by piece, they removed the metal and rock surrounding her body. Jae-won watched, his breathing controlled, his focus absolute. Extraction protocol initiated, the computer stated. Dr. Kim's medical systems began immediate stabilization. Specialized nanomedical units entered her bloodstream, repairing critical damage. Her body was a complex puzzle of survival and potential. Minutes felt like hours. The asteroid field continued its dangerous dance around them. One wrong move could mean total destruction. But human determination was stronger than celestial chaos. Patience secured, the computer finally announced. Dr. Kim looked up, her eyes reflecting both professional satisfaction and human emotion. They had done what no other rescue team would have attempted. They had saved a life that mathematical probability had written off. Jae-won allowed himself a small smile. The alien was alive, barely, but alive. Her body was connected to multiple life support systems. Her breathing was shallow, but consistent. The spacecraft began its return journey. Outside, the asteroid field continued its endless, silent rotation. Inside, a team of humans had just performed a miracle of compassion and skill, preparing long-term medical stasis, Dr. Kim said softly. The alien's body, once abandoned and forgotten, was now carefully cradled by human technology and human hope. Her journey of survival had taken an unexpected turn, from certain death to potential recovery, all because a few humans believed in the value of a single life. The medical facility orbited Earth like a silent guardian. Inside its sterile white corridors, the alien lay connected to multiple life support systems. Her body, once broken, now showed signs of remarkable recovery. Dr. Kim watched her carefully, fascinated by the complex biological responses. Days turned into weeks. The alien's systems slowly stabilized. Her blue-gray skin began to show signs of healing, complex cellular structures rebuilding themselves in ways human medical technology could barely comprehend. Dr. Kim documented every microscopic change. Jae-won visited regularly. He would sit quietly beside her medical pod, observing. Something about her presence felt different. She wasn't just a patient. She was a mystery waiting to be understood. One morning, her fingers twitched. A small movement that most would have missed. But Dr. Kim caught it immediately. Her neural scans showed increasing activity. Consciousness was approaching. The facility was designed for extreme cases. Specialized containment fields surrounded her bed. Multiple translation systems were prepared. No one knew what language she might speak, what her first words might be. Her eyes opened slowly. First, just a slight flutter, then a full gaze that seemed to take in everything and nothing at the same time. The first thing she saw was Jae-won, sitting quietly beside her. "You are safe," he said softly. The translation systems worked perfectly, converting his words into multiple potential alien languages. Her response was unexpected. Not words, but a complex series of biological signals. Her skin changed color slightly. Her breathing shifted. Dr. Kim realized she was communicating, just not in any traditional sense. Medical tests revealed extraordinary things. Her body had adapted to survive in conditions that would have killed most known species. Multiple organ systems showed regenerative capabilities far beyond human understanding. She was a living miracle of biological engineering. "Her name is Lyra," the translation system suddenly announced. It was more of a feeling than a sound, a complex communication that went beyond simple words. Jae-won learned her story in fragments. She had been part of a small exploration team. Something had gone terribly wrong. Her entire crew had been abandoned, considered expendable by their own society. She was the last survivor. Dr. Kim worked tirelessly. Each day brought new discoveries. Lyra's biological systems were learning, adapting. She was absorbing human medical technology at an incredible rate. What would have taken humans years was happening in weeks. Her psychological recovery was equally complex. The trauma of abandonment ran deep. But human compassion began to break through her initial defensive responses. Jae-won's patient approach helped her slowly trust her new environment. The medical facility became her world. Specialized rooms were created to help her adjust. Temperature, atmospheric conditions, even light were carefully managed to support her recovery. Human technology bent itself to her unique needs. Weeks passed. Lyra began to communicate more effectively. Her language was a mix of biological responses and complex mathematical patterns. Dr. Kim realized they were dealing with a form of communication far more advanced than verbal language. "She wants to understand," Jae-won would say, watching her. "Interact with various medical interfaces. Not just survive, but truly understand." Her body continued to amaze medical experts. Wounds that should have been permanent healed. Cellular damage repaired itself in ways that challenged everything known about biological recovery. She was rewriting medical understanding with every passing day. The diplomatic implications were enormous. Here was a living being from an unknown species saved from certain death, now recovering in a human medical facility. Every interaction was a potential diplomatic breakthrough. Lyra's eyes began to show something new. Not just survival, but curiosity. She watched the humans around her with an intelligence that went beyond simple observation. She was learning, understanding, becoming something more than she had been before. Dr. Kim looked at Jae-won one evening. "She's not just recovering," she said quietly. "She's transforming." The medical facility continued its silent orbit around Earth. Inside, a miracle of survival and compassion was taking shape. One cellular response at a time. 6 months had passed since her rescue. Lyra stood beside Jae-won at the interstellar diplomatic conference, no longer the broken creature found in the asteroid field. Her presence transformed the entire atmosphere of the gathering. Delegates from multiple star systems watched her with a mixture of curiosity and uncertainty. She was unlike anything they had seen before, a living testament to survival and adaptation. Her body moved with a grace that suggested both strength and healing. When she spoke, the translation system struggled to capture the complexity of her communication. It was more than language. It was a complete sensory experience. Her skin changed colors. Her breathing patterns carried meaning. Her very presence communicated volumes. "The systems that abandoned me," she explained, represent a fundamental failure of collective responsibility. Her words were calm, but they carried the weight of profound understanding. Jaewon stood beside her, a silent support. He had watched her transformation from a near-dead alien to a diplomatic force that was reshaping interstellar understanding. Her story was more than a personal journey. It was a message about the value of individual life. The conference hall was filled with representatives from hundreds of different species. Most had complex diplomatic protocols that valued collective survival over individual lives. Lyra's very existence challenged those fundamental beliefs. She shared the details of her abandonment, how her exploration team was considered expendable when their mission encountered unexpected challenges, how her own species had left her to die in the asteroid field. Each detail was a precise, painful revelation, but her narrative wasn't about revenge. It was about understanding. She spoke about the human intervention that saved her, not as a heroic act, but as a fundamental expression of a deeper ethical understanding. Humanity, she declared, is not just a species. It is a promise. Her words echoed through the conference hall. Translators worked overtime to capture the nuanced meaning. Delegates from rigid hierarchical societies shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Dr. Kim watched from a side panel, her scientific mind processing the diplomatic breakthrough. Lyra was more than a patient now. She was a living bridge between species, a walking demonstration of potential and possibility. The diplomatic implications were enormous. Her testimony began to challenge fundamental beliefs about survival, responsibility, and collective ethics. Species that had operated under strict survival protocols for millennia were forced to reconsider their approach. Jaewon observed silently. He understood that this moment was bigger than Lyra's personal story. It was about demonstrating the power of individual compassion on a galactic scale. Representatives from multiple star systems began requesting meetings. They wanted to understand the species that would risk significant resources to save a single life, with almost no chance of survival. Lyra became a living diplomatic instrument. Her biological adaptations continued to fascinate scientists. She could communicate in ways that went beyond traditional language. Her skin could transmit complex mathematical and emotional data. She was evolution in motion. The conference became about more than diplomatic protocols. It became a discussion about the fundamental nature of life, survival, and collective responsibility. And at the center of it all was Lyra, the alien who should have died but instead became a catalyst for change. As the conference concluded, she looked at Jaewon. No words were needed. Their connection went beyond language, beyond species. It was a fundamental understanding of what it meant to value life. "We have work to do," she said simply. The diplomatic hall buzzed with new energy. Something fundamental had shifted. A single rescued life had become a turning point in galactic understanding. Outside, Earth continued its rotation. Millions of lives moved through their daily existence. But here, in this moment, a larger story was unfolding. A story of rescue, recovery, and the extraordinary potential of compassion. Lyra stood tall, no longer the broken creature from the asteroid field. She was a living testament to the power of a single decision, a single act of hope.